I think they possibly learned their mistakes of the past, or hopefully so, where they start looking for those moves. Just because on COG, they don't have to kind of sit there and still let the score rack up. I want to see both of these teams, or a lot of these players this season in general, create those perfect opportunities. Because if you wait too long for those opportunities to come around, they might come around, yes, but the timing might not be on your side. The pressure will be immense by that time. And by then, who knows what will happen? Players can sneak past enemy lines to kind of keep the round going. So you want to make sure that you're playing it and keeping control of your destiny.
All right, control of your destiny. Big brain moves coming out from Jacob. All right, well, let's see how it starts off, man. Going to be at a bit of a standstill. We know, though, the B fight is normally where the fireworks start, correct? And but you did mention, though, whenever it does come to eUnited, they do have a playmaker, of course, being that of Kenny. And we see how influential Identitas could be. But for Powerz, deciding to go straight to mid. So maybe prioritizing this overextension off the rip. But Powerz has to win this fight versus Shock. Gets a good shot on the one, gets the second. And, man, that's a great push from eUnited. Maybe DeToX has an answer.
It's not fair how easy he makes it look, because then I get on the game and none of that happens the way I wanted to. But Powerz finding that mismatch. I talked about it. eUnited on Locust, Elevate sitting back. You saw it early on, but as this one goes down, Powerz is finding himself in a very rough spot. Triple cap domination still popping off for a moment. Kenny pushed up. He's going to have to either fall back with the rest of his team or figure out a way to stay alive here, because he can easily get pushed by both Shock and Demise. It does look like it's going to come through. First shot being landed. Lancer fire beginning to be too much. Kenny gets taken down. Praized falls as well, but the instant revive for Praized comes through. And here goes the double attack on both of these hills for Elevate. DeToX does go down. That's not looking good for Tidy and the rest of Elevate. One revive, but one chunk as well. DeToX turns and burns on one. He's trying to stay alive. Damage being dished out from both of these players. Triple cap domination turning around, but Praized, that player that got downed out early, finds a way to keep this one going.
Now Demise is going to be in a 1v1. He can afford to back off, though. The points are very close, and Elevate got what they wanted. They managed to flip the script, get the 2-1 and the win condition. So now they can set up defensively and force eUnited to be the ones who have to be the aggressors. They did a great job off the initial. In a way, this plays like the initial. But hey, we'll see if eUnited can retake control. It's going to be tough. But I'm curious, do they prioritize that mid fight as they did before? After all, they can challenge Tidy, who is going to be in mid, and you already have Powerz, who's going to be counting those numbers and understanding his positioning. Praized, he's kind of filling it out, and he might break away. Is that going to be the proper play? Well, they're going for it. Round number 2, just like the initial worked out, and Tidy is about to have his hands full. He backs all the way up.
Yeah, that's good, though, because you see them push them player right out of mid, and it can easily turn around because you see the overextension went through. DeToX tried to back up to help. Opportunity to break is dead and gone. They're going to have to possibly sacrifice their lives. Praized and explosive communication is so important here. Goes for the revive. He actually gets the revive. Body blocks some of those shots. That's going to be great, but not just yet perfect. They're going to need more. They're going to need to neutralize the next hill as well, because the cap is not going to be enough this stage in the game. Elevate trying to get into the hill to keep the pressure on, as they don't want to let all 4 players push up that middle hill, but the battle for both of these hills is going to be important. Praized landing some shots, forces a team kill. A great opportunity here for eUnited. Nice. Praized comes through, and the decap on the home mill. Elevate get taken out, and eUnited find a way.
And they found a way twice, Jacob. Remember that first time they had the lead, Elevate pushed them to the brink, almost getting in a domination. But then, of course, eUnited was able to fight back, and then they were able to achieve a domination in the end by fighting once again. In much the same way in the first initial, right? Remember, Powerz was the one who kind of, cut back on the inside to assist and bring that pressure onto Shock. And then, of course, the second time it was onto Tidy. And, well, they made it happen. They made it work. Both the same way, the same times. Elevate better be taking note of that mid pressure, right? That's something that is going to be hurting them, if I had to assume, and they've got to have more presence there and shut down those players who transfer either straight through mid or from Pistons over to mid.
And you talked about Powerz running through the middle. That was a full collective effort from eUnited. Xplosive spawning with the smoke grenade, smoked off Shock, forcing him to switch sides, which kind of led to only one Lancer on Powerz. But again, the aggression, switching up his plays, finding a way to break through the middle, forcing Tidy back. Kenny gets taken down to the top side, but a player is going to be there to clean that one up as Demise gets taken down. And immediately, in the blink of an eye at the start of this round, eUnited take full control. But look at them. They're not pressing forward. They're not getting too greedy. They're setting up, making sure Elevate fights for every inch back.
And isn't that a beautiful thing, right? Something that, again, Colin was harping on so incredibly much was the over-aggression from eUnited, but maybe we're seeing a different side of them come out, and the champions are starting to rise up as they want to be on top once again. I know they were not happy with their Pro League performance in the last phase, so they're looking to improve on that and start off strong by taking this victory over Elevate, and they're looking good. Kenny picks up Shock, DeToX also falls, wrap it up, GG. That's a domination. eUnited up 2-0.
Why? Hey, man, I told you, Elevate, you need to figure it out because you're kind of playing back. You're letting eUnited do what they want. I'm going to call them the Z-Bros because Praized playing in middle B, Powerz finding a way down middle. They just can't be stopped in 2 consecutive rounds on that breakaway. So I'm going to have to see somebody from Elevate have some sort of contention. Even if you're not necessarily contesting the player in that spot, you need to contest the positioning, whether if it's in the middle of the map, down the middle, or in the middle of Pistons B on that T. You can't let these players just fly around the map for free because right now they're waving their eUnited flag loud and proud as they run out. It's like flying a kite right now.
Z-Bros flying a kite. Jacob, you're dropping knowledge bombs, baby. You love to see it. Hey, retros are down, and no longer are we going to have that split. Both teams understand the value of the retro here, and it does have tremendous value. Again, eUnited has been doing such a great job with that mid presence, and Elevate has yet to find an answer for it. We'll see if that does come through in this moment. Kenny's going to have that retro, and that's going to feel good for him, right? He's going to be able to challenge effectively Demise. We'll see if he does decide to make that first move. Either way, bit of a standstill so far. But, you know, you mentioned Elevate being the ones who, even though they're COG, they need to be the aggressors at times. And we need to see that a little bit more. And I think they'll be in better hands if they do so.
Take note right now. Everybody on Elevate, I do believe, has a flash, but Xplosive, a smoke yet again. Powerz has a smoke in towards the middle. So they kind of have a 2-2 when it comes to utility. And a lot of teams, they got to start taking note of this and utilizing their flashes off initial a little bit more and over the top. Trick smoke coming through. That means they're going to have 2 smokes down low for eUnited. Powerz trying to get in. He immediately goes down, but the Z-Bros back at it again to go ahead and get the quick chain revive. Positioning into the middle map is immediately going to give it up. And there goes the crossfire over the top. Shock is in danger right now. Powerz goes for the kill blow. He gets greedy, and now the tables have turned. Tidy gets Praized out as well. eUnited forced on the back foot as Elevate gets that middle hill secured. And hopefully they go ahead and continue to create these opportunities. It does look like they're on different pages right here. Kenny with the retro, Xplosive trying to get the backup needed. There goes the chain revives coming through. Another down. I don't think the revive's going to happen this time around. Demise, you got to be careful. But a flank coming through from Tidy. That's going to be a double kill and an opportunity for a triple cap.
Absolutely, and lock up this triple cap. It's going to come through and Elevate. It's going to answer back, bring it 1-2. Well done. And like you mentioned, that flank from Tidy, he was the playmaker to make that happen, and good on them for doing so. And that's a good answer back, right? Because the first 2 rounds just did not go their way. They tried a couple of different looks, but just didn't work out. So it's nice to see that Elevate can, in fact, take that fight, be the aggressors, and make some magic happen. So eUnited, take note, and we'll see how round number 4 goes, right? Last round of the first half already. This first half has gone by very quickly.
I think it kind of started there in the middle. I don't want to say eUnited kind of gave it up. Elevate took it. However we want to look at it, the battle between Shock and Powerz was a pretty big battle that Powerz gave up. He was getting lancered over the top. He just needed to keep that distance and kind of keep firing off those shots because of the lancer over the top. He goes in for the 1 shot, gives up that. Another player dies in the middle. 4v2, Elevate just swarmed. Now you see it returning. Powerz switching things up, going down the middle. Praized is playing back on one side of the map. A blunder when it comes to the flash grenade, but that's not going to stop Powerz from pushing forward. Damage being dished out, but there it goes. DeToX with his head on a swivel, able to get the elimination on 1. Xplosive gets taken down on other. Praized is going to be all by his lonesome, but 1v2 situation, he's going to meet the same fate as his teammates in Kenny. He has to find a way to buy some time for his teammates to respawn, but no, he gets taken out as well. As quick as this round started, it's surely going to end with Elevate are looking to tie it up 2 rounds apiece. Well-placed flashes. Xplosive gonna get the touch, but he gets taken down. Powerz tries to keep this one going. He gets taken down as well. Nobody given a chance at this one as the score into half is 2-2.
And in that Pistons fight, by the way, I want to shout out Tidy, who played that very, very well. He clutched up, got a couple of big plays, and that secured the neutral. And then, of course, alleviated that pressure and allowed Shock, Demise, and DeToX to do their work on the opposite end. So well done coming out from Elevate. That's a huge answer back. 2 rounds, less than a minute. It's exactly what you want if you're an Elevate fan or an Elevate member. And eUnited's head has to be shaking at this point. I mean, come on, you started off so strong. Elevate's answered back. You know, what else can they bring to the table? Well, DeToX on one end, so eUnited's going to have that. But, of course, so does the other team of Elevate. The instance, though, on statue, that's going to be the big thing. This next round is going to be very, very important and telling of who is going to be able to take the momentum pushing forward. If Elevate wins it, who knows? They might be on a roll.
Another change up from strategy from both of these teams as the hills do get switched. Early flame going out. United unable to connect. We're trying to get a little bit of advantage over towards Elevate. Flash going through and unable to get a stun. Shot's going to back up Powerz, but DeToX not scared, not backing down. Big shots being fired off. 1 revive coming through, but Kenny, he go ahead, sticking close to his teammate, and that's what really gives this fight on over towards United. The revive, DeToX getting over aggressive and no help from Demise.
And Demise is in a tough spot. Instant thrown out. Forces Powerz back. Fair enough. Hits a nice break. Oh, just about gets it down, but wasn't able to secure it. And Elevates is, I don't know, they could be in a bit of a rough time, man. DeToX playing a little bit of the secret man, but he's been found out. And he hits a nice shot on a kitty, but it's a huge 1v2. But luckily, he does have his teammate behind. Oh, no, he's down, and that's not going to help. 4 out for Elevate, and a domination going to the way of eUnited.
And this is what I wonder. I said it early on when they were kind of sitting back. I wanted to see them get aggressive, but now you got to figure out a way to find that balance between getting aggressive and then, you know, getting over aggressive, because you kind of saw it there early on.
Of course, so does the other team of Elevate. The instance, though, on statue, that's going to be the big thing. This next round is going to be very, very important and telling of who is going to be able to take the momentum pushing forward. If Elevate wins it, who knows? They might be on a roll.
Another change up from strategy from both of these teams as the hills do get switched. Early flame going out. United unable to connect. We're trying to get a little bit of advantage over towards Elevate. Flash going through and unable to get a stun. Shot's going to back up Powerz, but DeToX not scared, not backing down. Big shots being fired off. 1 revive coming through, but Kenny, he go ahead, sticking close to his teammate, and that's what really gives this fight on over towards eUnited. The revive, DeToX getting over aggressive and no help from Demise.
And Demise is in a tough spot. Instant thrown out. Forces Powerz back. Fair enough. Hits a nice break. Oh, just about gets it down, but wasn't able to secure it. And Elevates is, I don't know, they could be in a bit of a rough time, man. DeToX playing a little bit of the secret man, but he's been found out. And he hits a nice shot on a kitty, but it's a huge 1v2. But luckily, he does have his teammate behind. Oh, no, he's down, and that's not going to help. 4 out for Elevate, and a domination going to the way of eUnited.
And this is what I wonder. I said it early on when they were kind of sitting back. I wanted to see them get aggressive, but now you got to figure out a way to find that balance between getting aggressive and then, you know, getting over aggressive, because you kind of saw it there early on. And a flash, or I should say a stun and a flash, was wasted on the side of eUnited. A flash and an instant, excuse me. You have the positioning on over towards statue. You get a big down on Powerz, but you continue to stay there. You're not getting the help necessary. And as soon as you know Kenny wasn't going for that revive, you probably should have backed up a little bit, try to play the damage game, make them get the chain revive, allow Demise some opportunities to push up. That did not come through, and eUnited took full advantage.
All right, so 3-2 lead, as you said. United takes full advantage. We look at the stat line just real quick. Everybody relatively even for the most part. Actually, almost dead even, I think, for all 4 members of either roster. So that just shows you how close the competition is, but also how quick some of these rounds have been ending, right? Whether it be Elevate taking or eUnited taking them, these rounds have been blistering fast. That's why first half was just so incredibly fast overall. Powerz want to make his way in full red, but manages to get there. Question is, have the instants been used? They have not, so Demise still has that in his hands. So Powerz is going to have to read this carefully, or else he could be losing his life.
And he's going to have his instants over the top. And this is where it gets interesting, because United have the positioning on towards statue, but they can't necessarily make a big play for it just yet because of those both Demise and DeToX. That's where if I'm Powerz, I kind of try to play with it. You got to know the angles which you can get crossed. You got to be careful of that player in the middle, but it actually does look like eUnited is trying to make a rotation. 2 players down underneath in Pistons. They're going to go ahead and back up Tidy, force a rotation from Shock, but Tidy has that retro. I don't know how much they're going to be able to gain out of this as a 2v2 is going to happen on this side of the map. It does look like maybe the possibility of eUnited trying to stretch out the defense from Elevate, but when this is a 2v2, that's exactly how it started as well. So not sure what they're looking for here.
Not sure just yet, but both teams still fighting for power. Powerz go, oh, great instant, forces DeToX back. I surely thought it was going to connect, but Powerz unfortunately can't get that additional damage to drop DeToX. Either way, team pickup would have been there, but Xplosive is going to use this opportunity to go for a cap. The instant's going to push him off, and Jacob still nobody able to get that neutral. We're still on the initial, but finally some blood is going to be shed, but Elevate looks as if they're going to have the advantage. Team pickups are going to be there, but Powerz Xplosive can't make it happen, and Demise and DeToX does a great job handling that 2v2, and now Kenny forced in a tough spot, damaging Shock, but does he get out of this one? This would be a big moment even just to get a trade, but he can't make it happen, and finally Elevate will be able to get the neutral in their hands.
Yeah, that was like the longest non-stalemated, non-hill cap round because they were actually fighting for positioning, trying to fight for what they could, but already we know Tidy's sitting back with the retro. You see the rotation coming through from Shock, lots of damage being fired out, but they need to be able to bait and switch. The last where communication comes in so important for eUnited in this scenario as the players are not able to get back there towards Tidy. He gets the double down on both Praized and Xplosive. That third member is forced to retreat in Powerz. Lots of damage getting shed out from Powerz, but he was forced back. 3 players dead from eUnited at one point or another. Make that 4 as Kenny goes down. They only have one more hill to overtake. They have to go through both Xplosive and Praized one more time, but they have the back end, they have the retro, they have the damage, and the triple cap domination sounding off for a moment. 2 more players go down. Possibly one more attempt, but Powerz says, nah, let's go next. Let's go next, as it's now tied up 3 rounds apiece.
Wow, that was an exciting round, like you said, man. It was the longest non-stalemate initial where blood was being shed, but no one still was able to get positioning. Incidents were thrown. Just nothing was happening, and forces were being reallocated over to Statue. They were trying to make moves on maybe the OE, but nothing was able to work into the later portions, but it shows you just how critical it was for Elevate to lock in Statue, because as soon as they did, they never really looked back, and that battle resulted in, I believe, 3 players ended up dropping off from the side of eUnited. Elevate pretty much had it from there. So well done. They tied up 3-3. The retros are going to be halved out. We still have those instants, so business as usual. There's no reason to place anything in Statue, right? You don't want to change anything up, nor do you want to fall behind. Probably get something in just a little bit, but overall, we'll see how this does play out. It's going to be a good one. eUnited, let's see if they can answer back.
So it's going to be hard for either one of these 2 teams because now you see the retros on the side. They kind of make that play towards the top half of the map. So it's going to be trying to play with damage, play against your opponent. Tidy versus Praized in the 1v1. You got Shock versus Xplosive in the middle, but Xplosive is staying towards the top half of the ramp. That way he can easily make a rotation to either side. Shock is actually in towards the ramp, and I like that positioning coming through as well because then he can kind of push forward. He can try to take as much of this positioning as possible, but Xplosive, he's just holding out his smoke, and on the other side, you kind of got the classic fight, but it's going to be Powerz that has that positioning on towards the Statue. Smoke going to go out, and there goes the move being made. Powerz rotation going to be spotted out. You see Tidy trying to backtrack, getting the help if necessary. Shot goes down. This is where decision-making is important for eUnited. A second down, that's going to be 2 big kills coming out from Powerz, and now you have your pick of the litter, and there's going to be 2 different 2v1s for the round going down in favor of eUnited.
One is already over with. Tidy ends up falling, and on the opposite end, Player 8 wins his battle against DeToX and wrap it up. eUnited takes another quick round. These rounds have been fairly quick, minus the last one, which took, close to 3 minutes. For the most part, man, all these other rounds have been either, just over a minute or below a minute. So well done. eUnited now up 4-3. So map pick overall. We knew this was going to be an interesting one and close one. If you had to guess, but man, for eUnited to be in that winning position, now they get that first move and immediately going to lock out the instance. For Elevate, looks as if they're going to go ahead and do a little bit of an upgrade, keep that disable for the last round, which fair enough, right? That's something that we've seen Rebel do, and it actually ended up paying off against Rise. And
that's where it makes your decision interesting if you're not choosing to match the lock, is because you already have your retro 60 seconds, so you either have to put something center line or you have to upgrade that to a shock. And you upgrade that to a shock because if you plan on using your lock next round instead of this one, then that means you either put a weapon center line or use the lock. So that shock is going to be a textbook answer back, but you gotta kind of win this round down a weapon here in this scenario. You see Praized, that retro fire is going to be immense. Only one down, nobody able to clean it up just yet. He gets a second one, cleanup coming through. There goes a double kill for the entirety of eUnited, but Shock fighting for every inch, one-on-one versus Kenny. Big shot being landed. He's gonna try to play aggressive on this one. He just shot. He only has a few seconds before Kenny gets some help, and he makes the happen in a 1v1 situation. Now it's 1v1 him versus Xplosive. But Xplosive, he has the luxury to wait. His teammates are getting that neutral. He has another teammate off of respawn here, and now that's gonna be a big Powerz having to buy some time on that neutral. How does Shock make that down happen? He gets a shock grenade as well from one of his teammates. Reinforcements coming through. Praise goes down, and they hold the line.
They hold the line indeed. Shock so instrumental. Obviously, DeToX helping him out in that moment, but none of this would have been possible if it wasn't for Shock being the last of 3 members from Elevated pushed up, and the domination comes in again. Another quick round, and we're heading into round 9, where, of course, Elevate, since they did not use their disable last round, they're now going to have theirs, whereas eUnited will not have a chance to lock out anything, right? So they pretty much all they can do is sit and wait. If I had to guess, they're most likely going to place a power weapon down, maybe statue, pistons, or even mid, because they want to break up the fight, and they understand not having the ensign, it's going to make that statue fight that much harder, but they're not going to do that. They're going to go ahead and go for their shock, it seems. Fair enough. Again, shocks, very important to have, but Elevate's put themselves in a winning spot, a winning position.
I wonder if Powerz is going to continue to try to push up towards the statue. I know it's not necessarily the advantageous side to try to make that play, but eUnited almost all map long, when it comes to initial specifically, have been setting the tone, have been setting the pace, and they're not scared to make these offensive plays. So I look at Powerz again, immediately pushing over. He has to be able to dodge a possible flash, a possible instant as well. He is put full red for a moment, but eUnited not straying away from their strategy just because they have something locked down.
Again, we have Harbor as map number 2, Jacob, and we know United has had their struggles on that very map, so this is a big one to take, or Elevate could be putting themselves in a potential, 2-0 closing out series, and obviously not something United wanted, especially after they got 3rd place, and really surprised a lot of us in that mid-split playoffs with their performance, man. They pulled up and they played very, very well. But regardless, though, big round. It looks like we're gonna have more of a standstill, but eUnited going back to their old tricks, right? This is something kind of like their bread and butter. They love sending Powerz to pressure up on Shock, but they don't take the bait. Shock is gonna go into backup, doesn't expose himself, and Xplosive now is forced to make a move with his teammate to push up.
Now they wasted their shock, so they have time right here. I don't know exactly how much time is left on that respawn of that shock, but they have time to where there's nothing over on that side of the map. They know it's not going to be rotated. There was a trade of utility for a moment, but Demise still sitting there, holding it down with those instants. So as they continue to use that utility, it's going to be in Praized's hands. He has the only shock grenade. I don't want to call it a power weapon, but a power utility in the game right now to be used. And if United doesn't find a way to make this push, find a way to make it happen, it is going to be them getting laughed at here, because now the push is going to come through.
Push is definitely coming through. Powerz in a big 1v2 spot, but luckily he has help from the flank. It's going to be Kenny now. Shock is going to be pressured up. Powerz literally walking up to him and goes around the corner. Shock knows he's there. Kenny is going to be there for the bait and switch. Xplosive now pushes up, and either way, Kenny handles his business. Now eUnited has free reign to take over E, and that's exactly what they are going to do, forcing Elevate now to make a decision. OE, go for home mill to home mill, apply that pressure onto the 3 defensive members from eUnited who already have E in place. Either way, they had to wait for his teammate to get back up, pick up the shocks. Tidy's going to have that to use to his discretion, but they're going to go head first. This is a big battle. This right here is almost a must-win for Elevate, Jacob.
And it kind of shows if you're a team that's just kind of camping back, hoping for the best to happen.
Wow.
You're not going to be rewarded all the time. He finds a way to stay alive. How is this guy doing it? But early on, eUnited was able to get this control because of Powerz and Xplosive in the middle. They were able to press through, spread out the numbers, and force Elevate to keep guessing. Now Elevate using everything they can to get this break on the neutral. You see multiple players of eUnited trying to backtrack, trying to back up. Kenny needs to be careful here. He is going to be a target. Well played shot. Catches DeToX out of position. And now you see the win condition at the top. eUnited win off one. Kenny is just being annoying, but he has to be careful because that player he just eliminated, DeToX, is going to spawn up by the time he reaches the front of that spawn.
He's still going to get the decap though. I mean, there's no way unless DeToX can just rotate him off of it. Kenny can almost even sacrifice his life at this point. I mean, if he can get this, I mean, it doesn't even matter. Elevate's going to have to push in, and player 2 is going to be there, and he's the last one. He's shut down, and man, eUnited only needed 1 hill. Well done. Round number 9 goes to the way of eUnited, but don't say it was easy because it was nothing but. Elevate kept it close all the way until the end, but eUnited successfully wins their map pick. Well done.
And you can kind of see it, though, throughout the course of that matchup. A lot of those moves were made by eUnited, and it started off maybe a little slow in some cases, as you saw in other rounds. They didn't start off slow at all, but every time Xplosive and Powerz on that second half, Powerz would get the statue, Xplosive would wait until he got that positioning. And that's where I would say I would love to hear that crystal clear communication come through, because I know it was Xplosive probably directing that traffic, calling out that play, because as soon as they were able to get position in the middle of that map, time and time again, it was Powerz and Xplosive pushing up the middle ramp. They were extending in through pistons, pushing that side of the map, and that forces Elevate to make a decision. Are we going to backtrack, spread our numbers around to play defense, or are we going to try to push forward? But you kind of saw it. They had no intentions of playing aggressive almost on that map, and that's why I kind of thought they would learn from their mistakes, learn from a split of playing Foundation to the yes, the COG has the advantage. Yes, they can camp. Going against some of the best teams in the game, some of the best IGLs, they'll find a way to make a play. They won't just sit there and slowly lose the game.
Well, they definitely found a way. And again, like you mentioned, that mid presence was beautiful. It really was, especially off those first couple of rounds that ended so very quickly. Man, eUnited was able to just take matters in their own. Powerz had one hell of a game. I mean, you could see him popping off in that clip. Of course, that mid-presence from him, whether it was onto Tidy, whether it was onto Shock, whoever they decided to have in that position, Powerz was handling his business and doing everything he needed to do. But this play here from Tidy, I love that flank. He was a reason as to why that ended in a way of domination, and Elevate was able to keep it as close as they did. Tidy was definitely being a playmaker. Shock was being a playmaker as we just expect him to be. You know, there was a moment, though, it was Shock who was living inside the spawn of eUnited for or was it Tide? No, it was Shock. It was Shock who was living, and he did such a great job just wasting as much time as possible. It actually came onto the back of this. 3 members came through, and Shock was the last one standing, and he held his ground long enough for his teammates to eventually come off the respawn and shut him down right here in this moment. Well done from him. Seriously, we saw a lot of great things come out from Elevate, but in the end, eUnited just found a way to you know, just take over that win. Who was it on Statue who found that pixel? He was stuck between literally a Shock and an instant, but managed to stay alive as long as he did. Beautiful place.
Again, every time that's just experience.
That's just
experience. This guy figured out a way to stay alive, and that's where I talk about the positioning you put yourselves in. He's the tip of that spear player for eUnited, and that's where I talk about, yeah, you might be able to throw Kenny, you might be able to throw Xplosive in that situation, but players have strengths, players have weaknesses. Creating chaos, staying alive is a huge strength for Powerz. You see the scoreline at the top, though, 5-4. We're talking about all the great plays, but Elevate held in there till the very end. Map number 2, Harbor. I got to ask you, Elevate, narrowly getting edged out. What do they have to do to really bring it back?
Well, one of the great things about Elevate on this map is their Stern battle. I think they have a lot of key slayers, like, you know, Shock, Tidy, who can really take that fight on Stern very well. That's kind of one of the ace in the holes, if you will. They're also a great team who can think fast on their feet if we do see a long shot or end bar that's placed up top. And they're not a team that's scared to back off. We've seen that for, you know, time in and time out here on Foundation, where they're okay with playing defensively. That was if the rounds ended up extending past a minute. I mean, a lot of them only ended in just like a minute and 11 seconds or down, but there were a couple that went, you know, 2 to 3 minutes. But for the most part, though, I think Elevate has the upper edge here because I feel like they're more of a mixed bag, where eUnited is a team that is very momentum based on Harbor. You know, they love, if they can get the initial locked in well, fair enough, they're fine, but they don't like to let off the gas. They continue to press forward. But then again, that over aggression, which sometimes is a positive, a lot of times ends up being a negative for eUnited on Harbor. And that's been the biggest thing that's kind of bit them in the butt in the past, right? That series versus Rise, right? That's why they lost, because of their over aggression. So I'm looking at them to kind of pump the brakes a little bit more. But one thing that is positive about me saying that is the fact that we did see them pump the brakes on Foundation. So they have learned and they are adjusting and they're looking like a more well-rounded team. And as they head into Harbor, that might benefit them greatly versus Elevate, who love to come out the gate swinging.
Yep, and I got to take note, too. If you can kind of see how those initials went down, yeah, some of them were quick, where Powerz just kind of running through. Those were initials that were kind of planned out. They had well-placed flashes, well-placed smokes to come through. Yeah, you might have that a little bit on Harbor, but we see how quick and how chaotic these fights are. There's not a ton of time to plan. There's not a ton of time to make those adjustments. That's why I got to agree with you on a map like Harbor. I do think these initials will kind of suit Elevate. And that's where sometimes I feel like you in general don't get enough credit when breaking down some of these matches, because you got me, Colin Blaze. We've been playing Gears since birth, you know, some of us, but you get coming in, being a new guy, and you don't understand sometimes that you got to throw that paper out the window. You got to go with your gut feeling, because that's what a lot of these players are doing in the moment. Yes, they practice their strategies, but in a 1v3, they're not practicing these 1v3s. They're making these moves, they're making these plays due to their gut and what they feel in that moment. So even though like a lot of people might they make those jokes, like I said, I myself, I'm going to give you some credit this split around, because you're hitting the nail on the head left and right, especially when breaking down these initials. And that's why I agree. Elevate is going to have the upper hand of these initials. So eUnited is going to have to find some sort of a way. Stop going over to that stern side of the fight. Put a weapon up top, create some separation. I don't think that weapon's going to go up top early from eUnited. No. So I do think they're going to figure out some way to create that separation. Spend multiple members up top. Maybe send 3 players down low to catch some players off guard, because I do think straight up on paper, Elevate should win this stern fight off the initial.
I agree wholeheartedly. I really do. The only thing that I do like that eUnited has done as of recently that has benefited them on Harbor, again, is they're not sending Kenny down to fight for that neutral in those 1v1s. He is fighting that stern fight now, and I feel he is a great slayer, a great support role player, if you will, especially in these chaotic fights. So for me, that's a huge benefit. Putting Praized down there to fight those 1vs is a huge positive and a great adjustment from eUnited. Powerz, though, fighting tooth and nail to try and make this work, and Xplosive is going to be there for the cleanup and the pickup. But Shock is there, and Xplosive gets him. That's going to be 3 down for this side of Elevated. Tiny is stuck between a rock and a hard place as he's being lancered, but eUnited doesn't seem to pounce. They are not getting over aggressive. They don't pressure up. Granted, they didn't have the teammates to be able to do it because they lost 2 off the start, but I like it. Now they have the 2-1. Let's see the defensive work play out.
I'm down. Sneaky plays, able to get 1. And I like it. He immediately backs up. Had a thought to switch to a support weapon, but that player's there threatening him. There goes the second one. There goes the third.
Yes,
Stack him up, knock him down. Explosive trying to end the game. And there it goes. Triple cap domination. Shock. We talked about him being the superstar for Elevate, and he's going to be back on Respawn as eUnited start off map number 1 just as hot as they started off map number 1. I was going to say start off map number 1. It's map number 2. But that goes to show, man, they have not let up off their game plan.
Tom's showing me that scoreboard, baby. 5-1 with no deaths coming out from Xplosive. And that winch fight, he made it his. He really did. Well done from Xplosive. Not slowing down, showing the team what he can really do and showing everybody out there, right, that eUnited, they're looking like a different beast altogether. That's a strong statement round, okay? Let's see if they can do it once again. What we know from Harbor is the fact that, especially when you get 2 Titans like these, you know, Elevate and eUnited, who are very close in stats, especially from that first phase 1 of Split 2, these rounds, they go quick, but they go back and forth, right? There's really not a deciding winner until something is drastically placed on the map, whether it be an M-bar or a long shot, maybe even a drop shot. So at this point in time, I expect Elevate to answer back, but hey, you never know. See how this fight goes once again. Xplosive is going to be the forerunner. He is at the front looking to lead his troops. He backs up, a little bait and switch, but it looks like Elevate's now starting to get a couple of drops. Powerz now forced to back up. He goes back in. Unfortunately, faces a meat shield. That's 3 out of the way. Praise, last one standing for EU.
I'm about to say, Praized is finding a way to get through. Shock's going to be there. No free heal for you, but lots of damage being fired off. You need to figure out a way to prolong this round. Buy your team some time on the other side of the map. They do get the reset, so he doesn't have to put all his eggs in that basket, but his triple cap again. He gets it. He's the one prolonging it. Shock needs to use this to his advantage. Two players from Elevate rotate over. They find the elimination. So even though eUnited were able to fight for their home hill back, the damage on the other side of the map, Elevate doesn't have to worry about Praized being there anymore, but they have to try to stay alive. Demise gets picked off. His death is certainly going to be staggered, which kind of opens up the opportunity for that neutral hill down low. You see Praized coming off for respawn. He's certainly going to try to go up top as well, but no, they want to make sure they solidify down low first.
Yeah, and that's absolutely the play to make, because you look at Elevate with the point lead that they currently have. You don't want to give them any more points to better their cause, or, you know, keeping the win condition, especially if you get close to that 250 mark, forcing you to over-rotate. But big 1v1 Xplosive needs to win this, and DeToX takes it. And man, I was just talking about that point lead. You don't want it to get carried away. Well, it might. Elevate's doing a great job, but the OE is in place. Player 2, Kenny, is locking in the home hill of Elevate, and this might be a godsend. At this point, eUnited retakes the win condition, and they keep things close. I'm liking the objective work.
And you see Powerz, he was helping Kenny at one point, backtracks, finds his way with Praized, Xplosive off of respawn, and it's like shooting fish in a barrel. Both Tidy and Demise overstaying their welcome on the other side of the map, and that's all it takes is just one slip up for a team like eUnited to take advantage. Now with two players dead, they're immediately going to swarm. DeToX out of position, getting crossed from up top by Powerz. The rest of the team are not only going to solidify that elimination, but the neutral hill as well. And because Elevate hasn't got the score line of 200 just yet, it is going to be a possibility of coming back with 2 as eUnited are continuing to try to hold their ground, separating these players one by one. Back A from Kenny, that's going to land one elimination. These players from Elevate are just separated left and right. That's going to be a double from Kenny, and immediately switched out to his Lancer and trying to find the shots necessary to help his teammates.
That was massive. That absolutely could be the play that determines this round for eUnited. Kenny winning that big fight, 1v2, holding Elevate back. Surely if he drops, the OE's in place, and Elevate retakes the point lead, or they already have it, but they absolutely would have been that much closer to 250 mark. But Kenny's job's not done yet. Open up, Tiny ends up falling, but Kenny gets it once again. He is played out of his mind. DeToX wins the fight, fair enough. B is being broken. Elevate might just take the win condition back with this 2-1, but is it too close? Is it too late? It might just be. No, Swarm gets the win condition. Player 4 is going to be going for the break, but does he have enough time? Oh!
They still got the win condition. They still got it. I think Elevate still has it. I think they still got it in the end.
Got it. Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. Play after play.
Wow, that was awesome. That was awesome. That was good. That speaks for itself, Jacob. That was just awesome to watch. I love it.
I feel like I'm trying to find it right now. Elevate, they doubled up the score line, but Kenny was able to stretch past, get the home hill under eUnited's control. Even though they backtracked to try to deal with Kenny, that opened up possible plays on the other side of the map, and you saw it. They were able to take out both Demise and Tidy on their own home side underneath their home hill, and then they were able to stretch forward, but Elevate off of that respawn played perfect.
Man, that was just... You love to see moments like that, right? Where it's literally just 1 point separating the two, and it was that break on B that ended up being it. Powerz getting it down on his teammate just so he could pick it back up. Full health to go ahead and manipulate this fight in his favor, but it's not going to be an easy one. Demise is going to pick up a couple, and Powerz utilizes his position quite well. He also had some help with some Lancer fire, and he gets away, maybe. No, he's going to be dropped off, but either way, though, player 2 is going to be there to assist and keep these two players from Stern out. But look at this, a double down on B. This should be eUnited. Oh, and then another player gets down as well. Shock is going off with the retro, or the Lancer, just a regular Lancer, excuse me.
He's a beam right now, shocking players from above. Xplosive does have that retro though, and he's going to be in position to kind of take that bottom portion of the ramp. I know the rest of his teammates have to try to get in position, so he can't go too soon or he will get downed out and possibly taken out by Elevate. But as you can see, as soon as Praized gets into position, no time wasted from Xplosive. They're going to stagger their flash grenades to try to get as much positioning as possible. But Xplosive gets down once, Praized gets down as well. They're going to have to be forced to chain revive here. Forced back. Kenny tries to make a play, gets caught up though. He DeToX kills his teammate. So basically a trade coming through. Xplosive dealing out a lot of damage on Demise. A 1v1 going down, but it's actually going to be a 2v1 here. And a chuck going through as Xplosive gets taken out. And that goes to show all that damage being put out. If you're not there to get that chain revive in the nick of time, it's going to be for nothing.
Ooh, now it's looking good for Elevate once again, but you know, you got big playmakers on eUnited like Kenny who can maybe open up the door for another retake, but they're going to have to send their forces appropriately, and Shock is ready with that retro, and that's going to be a tough one to get through. Smokes are going to be down. eUnited looking to maybe make this move. A couple members have been marked, though, and the retro's now starting to be used. The Praized is going to drop off. Shock's going to go in and back up. eUnited still progressing forward, and they managed to get 3 up top.
This is where it gets interesting there, because they immediately backtracked, gave it up, but Demise, he stayed. He held it by himself. He's able to get the down on 1. But a big blunder there towards the very ending pushes to where one final push from eUnited could definitely take this map. Xplosive goes down, taken out. So it is going to be a trade coming through. The neutral hill is going to be decapped. DeToX gets taken out. Shock putting as much fire as he can. Gets not 1, but 2 big eliminations. It's going to be all up to Powerz. Time not on his side, and Shock completes the hat trick, taking him out and securing the round for Elevate.
Well done from Elevate, and that was probably the most convincing round we have seen yet. Albeit the first round went to way of eUnited fairly well, but I like the fact that, you know, overall Elevate from the initial really didn't back off, and they looked very solid overall. So 2-1, they have the lead. We're not going to see anything crazy just yet in terms of the weapon placement. It's going to go back and forth, nothing going to be center line to break up the fight, but it is going to be the last round of the first half. Right before now, we're going to see the neutral go from Doc over towards Stern. I say now, but at least next round. So that's going to be a lot of fun to see how that battle, and it's going to make that fight on Winch and Stern that much more important, right? Because now you're fighting for the neutral, and the Shocks are there, and that was the natural progression. So the Winch fight could be a bit interesting. We might see a 3-man split down on Winch and then up on Stern, depending on how they utilize the Shocks.
And interesting to see how this one's going to be switched up. It's going to slow down that aggression on the initial, or at least it should, the fear of it. You can already see Xplosive going to be the one picking that one up, getting to the fight a little bit late. DeToX gets taken out first, so already looking hot for eUnited, especially since Demise goes down. Well played Shock from, you know, Elevate to try to keep him alive, but no overextension going down. Tiny was forced to back up, so now they're just fighting for their lives here as Kenny overextends. Even if Kenny goes down, the Shock's gonna go ahead and stop these players from pushing up. Anybody who pushes up through it is gonna have a lot of damage being put on him. Kenny's trying to hold his ground. He has reinforcement. All 4 players pushed through and got those chain revives. Kenny goes down. Praized goes down. A trade as DeToX finds himself getting eliminated. I don't know how these players of Elevate are getting eliminated right now. They were doing such a good job, but eUnited finding a way.
This is the fight for the round, and it is. No, someone gets on B, and I was waiting for somebody from Elevate to just break away from the pack and say enough is enough. Why keep fighting this fight? eUnited has such a good presence on our own home hill. It was going to be a tough win, to say the least. You weren't even surprised by how they were losing that engagement, but either way, though, Elevate keeps it alive, but for how much longer? Man, Praized is just putting up such a great fight. Granted, he doesn't get any of the kills, but he manages to get the downs, and he's on the other side.
Anybody, I'm trying to see where these players spawned up at. And he's going to be able to spawn up and help Praized as long as he's able to stay alive and by his team. And look at Praized. He's even backtracking so far as to overextend and find both Xplosive and Powerz on the other side of the map. So although eUnited still have the lead in their hands, they're going to get that neutralization and kind of switch between that one and their home hill. Taddy's going to get the decap on the other side of the map, but I like the way he kind of backtracked. And this is like mirrors happening on both sides of the map. One side being dominated by EU, other side being dominated by Elevate, but that neutral is what's keeping Elevate in this one, even though eUnited have a lead.
eUnited's put themselves in a tricky spot, though. Since they lose their own home hill, it's going to be much easier for Elevate to put themselves in a winning position, and we're going to see that winning position now start to come through. eUnited needs to get a touch, and it's going to start with Xplosive. Picks up the elimination on DeToX. Man, Elevate is losing a couple of fights that you would think they would, and again, Xplosive pops off once again, picking up yet another, and that is a big fault point. Elevate gives up B, and they might have just given this round over to EU.
And their home hill is definitely going to be traded out. EU already have the lead. Another player being eliminated, forced off a respawn. This is where that kills versus hills mentality has to start to kick in, but man, so much Lancer Fire pre-damage being dressed out. Even if the neutral does get broken from Elevate, that's not going to be enough. They have to get the decap and go. Shock on one side of the map gets down out, cleaned up. Xplosive gets taken out on the top side of the map, but he was just trying to waste any time possible. So even though there was one elimination given late into the game, there's just not enough time on the clock for Elevate, and eUnited will tie this one up into the half at 2 apiece.
Elevate was so concerned with fighting for their own home hill. Fair enough, they needed to, right? That's where literally the majority of the fight for that round ended up taking place because of eUnited's presence. You know, and you can even look at Praized, right, being on that great overextension. He was living in the basically the spawn of Elevate. You also look at Xplosive obviously popping off, doing his work on the other side too, but giving up the neutral, right? Giving up the neutral, that shouldn't have happened, and that was Elevate's win condition. If they hold on to the neutral, they're going to be quite fine. I strongly believe they'll be able to take over their own home hill. It is what it is. They let it slip. We're tied up 2-2. It's still a tied ball game, right? It's still anybody's game at this point in time, and because it is 2-2, DeToX are there, Shocks are there, but now obviously we're fighting for the stern fight on E. E is going to be a main focal point and could be the breaking point for either roster. But I'm curious, do we still see that 3v3 down low on Winch? Does anybody go up top? Looks as if we're going to continue with the 3v3 down low.
Early shots from both Kenny and Powerz. That's going to be the first down, and he actually gets the players standing up. Shock is going to be the third player dead from Elevate, which kind of leaves Tidy in no man's land. There's no hill down there in the center. The home hill is already being capped up. You see United swarming around, not letting Tidy stay alive as the down is going to come through. Triple cap domination sounding off for a moment. Demise has to get one, but both of these players, him and DeToX, get taken out in a quick round. First one into the half, going over to eUnited, 42 seconds. So as soon as the hills switch up, eUnited answer with a trick strat from up their sleeve to quickly take the round.
And bottom line, you have to win that fight on Winch. You have to. It's a big 3v3. It's not being elongated. Both teams are just going, they're headbutting just nonstop at that Winch fight. Whoever wins that has a very good chance of winning the entire round, as we just witnessed. And I got to say, man, you know, eUnited, once again, I thought those initials were going to benefit Elevate, but it seems as if eUnited has a little bit more gas. That slaying power is starting to come to the forefront, and Elevate communication, we're looking at it. They were trying to figure out where do we go from here? Do we want to make a prioritization on the stern fight, right? Do we want to maybe press something on a Winch? Ultimately, they decide for the retro, but at this point, I think they're still trying to figure out what they do.
Yeah, I'm not really sure if Elevate even likes that stern fight up top. Maybe put that weapon in towards the center of the map, but yeah, one more chance to do it. If this does go 4-2 in favor of eUnited, I can certainly see something being put down to kind of change up the fight, but 2 quick downs going down on Demise. Not being able to cleaned up just yet, but a flank coming through. Somebody from eUnited stretches across. That's going to be Xplosive. Gets the kill on Demise. Gets the down on Shock. Praized got taken down on low, so they have to make sure they win this up top exchange. They can certainly try to get that elimination on a DeToX, but he's finding a way to stay alive. And you see the overextension from Kenny taking the first half home hill. That means anybody pushing through, if they don't check that spot on Kenny, he will have a Lancer in towards the backside, but it doesn't look like that's going to come to play just yet. As you see Elevate overextending. Home hill to home hill is going to be the name of the game. Tidy doing what he can to get damage out with that retro, able to get it down on one. Backup is there as Demise cleans up those eliminations. So it does look like home hill versus home hill setup is what Elevate wants, and as soon as they get their capture, it's what they get.
Our newest team also, aside from, of course, that of Mars, Dream Conspiracy ended up losing to Pittsburgh Knights on the side station, 2-0. So PK will take that victory, showing that, look, 2 hard matches for Mars and Dream Conspiracy. We're not going to make it easy on these teams that ended up making it through relegation. They're going to have to go back to the drawing board, figure it out. But hey, they can only get better from here. Now we see, though, as we transfer back, Elevate going into the blender. That's 3 members down. Shock now, last one standing as eUnited looks to potentially take this domination. Good spacing, good fight for Powerz. He continues to play well. 15 and 14 and 5 deaths. This man's unstoppable.
Oh, my God. I don't know how Kenny got behind enemy lines there, as you saw the double home setup coming out from Elevate, but he was able to stretch through, get on towards that home mill, and just rain down fire at the only safe position Elevate had, which allowed eUnited to kind of push up, Lancer, Shotgun to kind of finish those eliminations. Yes, Kenny died, but his job wasn't to get the hill. His job wasn't even to get kills. It was to get the damage, cluster those players out, and make the eliminations on the other side of the map easier. So now that they're on match point, that lock is going to go down for eUnited. That's something that we've seen for the past few months now.
Yeah, definitely something we've been seeing is ooh, I like that in-bar play. So finally, Elevate wants to break up the fight. And you called it right, Jacob. Perfectly said. They don't like that stern fight, right? So they wanted to play something down low, and that's exactly what they do. So well done for that call out. And man, this could definitely change up the fight a bit. United, though, is going to prioritize that in-bar potentially, sending 2 players down low. Meanwhile, they have 2 players fighting for stern. DeToX going to finish up 1. Can he get the second? No, he can't. Xplosive is going to go ahead and finish up the 1. So bit of a different breakout here.
Now, you saw in towards the middle, that M-bar was placed, and somehow, some way, Praized finds himself lucky enough to be rewarded. And I like the changes on this map in Gears 4 because I know there's a spot on District you can shoot under that cover. That cover right there was, you used to be able to shoot under it, and Praized, if that was still there, would definitely be looking for that shot. Would have made an easy push for eUnited, but now it's going to be up to Elevate. What shots are you giving up to Praized? But a big fight going down on the winds. DeToX finds himself taken out 1v2 scenario. So it now was a 3v3. It's now going to be a 3v2 for the hill. Shock trying to be sneaky. They catch him from a mile away, leaving Demise all by his lonesome. He falls as well. And on the other side of the map, Kenny made it look easy in a 1v1 versus Tidy, and you kind of hit the nail on the head. That's looking like it's going to be it. Shot grenade creating separation, and eUnited take the map and the series 2-0.
I gotta say, man, eUnited is looking good. They are looking really good. This is a solid start. Elevate is a very talented team. Again, during mid-split playoffs, I was impressed with how well they played, but eUnited played even better today, and they take the victory. Man, those stats are incredible. And Powerz, Xplosive, Praized, Kenny, they all had their moment in the spotlight. They all had a moment to shine, and that's why they get the victory here in the series. 2-0s across the board, Jacob.
Yep. And what I like about it, even though you did have some statistical leaders when it comes to the leaderboard, as you talk about it, it doesn't say the full story. eUnited was just firing on all cylinders.
Yes.
Powerz was, yes, like I said, the tip of the spear, the main slayer for the team, but the IGL and the co-IGL and Kenny, I know we're directing traffic. You can see it when they were taking the middle of the map on both maps, when they were going ahead and pushing forward on Foundation, stretching out the numbers, going from Pistons all the way back on over to Statue to go ahead and get themselves that early point lead. So even though, like I said, you might have some statistical leaders, congratulations to Powerz for really putting on a clinic, but the entirety of eUnited deserves a round of applause.
Yeah, and that's a great point. You know, stats don't say everything. You know, the teamwork, I think, really shines from eUnited, right? I mean, we know all 4 of these members, and I think that was the frustration we had in phase 1, right? Was like, we know all 4 of these members are all talented. They're legends in the space, right? They're just the tip of the spear, but I felt like in phase 1 they just struggled. Their teamwork was what was lacking, right? Their communication is what was lacking. I know Ashes, when he had the chance to cast that one match with Colin and Blaze, right? He was commenting on it whenever they're playing against Rise, and I gotta say, eUnited, it looked like the eUnited I've been wanting to see, and it's refreshing to see them play as well as they did because, you know, like you said, stats, they're whatever. Individual talent, we expect that. You even mentioned a quote from Benson, right? All these guys at the top of the food chain, they are expected to be fundamentally sound, but that teamwork is what separates, you know, the amateurs from the best, and we just witnessed that from, well, excuse me, Elevate. I'm not saying Elevate is an amateur team by any means, but I'm just saying, you know, whenever it comes to the upper echelons and different levels, right, that teamwork is what really separates them, because just having 4 talented members isn't enough. You have to have teamwork, and eUnited just represented that. So well done from them. That's a big win.
Yep, and one thing to really note about this eUnited squad that's kind of scary to think about is you backtrack just a little bit to 5v5. Mental leaves the team, shocks the Gears esports scene for a while. And honestly, eUnited, you know, different team back then, took a massive hit. They pick up TJ, though, and they really are trying to recreate their play style within 5v5, which is kind of hard to do when you have a core roster, or at least a big dynamic duo in Xplosive and Mental. When you lose a big piece like that, even though you have somebody like TJ who's so skilled mechanically, who's so smart at the game, sometimes, like I said, it just doesn't work. And it's not of TJ's fault. It's a whole collective team not being able to put it together. But you take away TJ, you throw in 4v4, right? Now there's a team that doesn't have to worry about replacing Mental. that doesn't have to worry about TJ or filling in a gap, filling in a hole, recreating their play style in a 5v5 game. They have to do it in a 4v4. They had a very flat season by their standards, but that was a learning lesson because right now, the makings I'm seeing of eUnited, all those things Colin said that I agreed with, playing over aggressive, getting caught out of position, sometimes Kenny not necessarily making the smart plays in those 1v1s and getting taken advantage. I did not see any of that today. So that's a scary thought. I might be too soon to tell, but that's a scary thought to think eUnited, one of the most historic rosters in Gears Esports, finding themselves beginning to dominate the scene yet again. It's only week 1. It's only match 1. But in a couple of weeks, man, I'm going to revisit this thought and think, did I tell you so, or was I completely stupid and wrong?
Well, hey, we'll never know, right? I mean, after all, anything can happen. I mean, you know, like you mentioned before, and everybody loves to say this, all the commentators, is any dog can win, right? Any dog in the fight can win, rather. And at this point in time, it is always up in the air at this point. But Elevate, back to the drawing board they go. And another 2-0.